campaign advertising blackout is starting.
Not a moment too soon, because if I hear this one more time...
There's a hole in your budget, dear Labour, dear Labour.
I'm going to have to do this.
Rip into it. Slash it off.
That's not saying I disagree with the message in the hole in the bucket ad. Labor has admitted it's going to run high deficits and rack up more debt, because apparently there is such a thing as a free lunch.
Something DOO economics. Voodoo economics.
But the woman's voice is so grating.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
No, it's not. It's this.
More taxes are coming, more taxes with Labour.
Why do we have a campaign ad blackout?
The idea is, as we get closer to polling day, there's a risk a party could sway an election with a last-minute attack ad which might be complete bullshit, but there isn't time for the other side to prove it is. So on Friday night and all day Saturday, the ALP could run a massive campaign saying ScoMo's going to privatise the ABC and scrap Medicare, and the Libs don't have time to counter and explain that's not the case. I mean, it probably is the case with those two examples, but you know what I mean.
Everybody knows you don't set up a Medicare privatisation task force unless you aim to privatise Medicare.
Here's the stupid thing with the blackout. Under the Broadcasting Services Act 1992, it kicks in at 12:01 a.m. on the Thursday before the Saturday, so it lasts for 3 days, but it only applies to TV and radio, only to broadcasting, not newspapers or billboards or letterbox drops, or importantly, anything on social media.
But that's the problem.
So the Greens will be free to continue advertising on Grindr to say if you vote for them, you'll always come first, and that the best parliaments are hung.
It's pretty funny.
Unfortunately, for every good political ad, there's one of these.
Scott Morrison doesn't hold a hose.
So we can keep taxes low.
Good boy. Yes, JobKeeper. We changed so many times. Flip, flop.
And with the ALP spending $100,000 a day on Facebook and the UAP handing $18 million to YouTube, your devices will be plagued right up until the moment you take your first mouthful of your democracy sausage.
Just f***ing hopeless.
So why is the blackout just for TV and radio?
Back in the day, they felt radio, and even more so TV, were such emotive and effective platforms, particularly the news bulletins,
I'm kind of a big deal.
that the risk was too great that someone would come up with an effective vote clincher that was based on something just plain wrong.
60% of the time, it works every time.
The Act needs updating, but politicians don't know how, despite there being two clear arguments. I know there are two clear arguments because the Parliament of Australia told me so. That the blackout laws are redundant and need to be done away with, or that the threat of disinformation campaigns is now so great blackout laws need to be extended to all types of media. They reckon it's binary, only two options. But they're wrong.
No, there is another.
We pass a law that says political advertising needs to be correct. Lorna Jane gets fined $5 million for saying its activewear protects you from COVID, but nobody's stopping maniacs from saying stuff like this.
For the sole purpose of repaying that $1 trillion of debt Liberal and Labor have incurred.
Or this.
Save your home. Maximum home loans below 3% for the next 5 years.
Even though anyone with half a brain knows the only thing those two policies will do is reduce superannuation returns and make the Australian banking system insolvent. But he can say it without blushing, much less the fear of a $5 million fine, because there's no law requiring truth in political advertising.
That doesn't make sense.
Which is why Labor was free at the last election to run a Mediscare campaign that had no real basis in fact.
Help Bill Shorten and Labor stand up to protect Medicare.
And Clive Palmer
can say whatever the hell he wants.
Now we're gonna hit the ground, we have the antidote.
Hopefully it's an antidote to being
The dumbest motherfucker that ever lived.
They'll be hammering the message online and in the papers between now and Saturday because the polls are tightening fast.
That's a little too tight.
You'd be questioning the shelf life of your elbow merch.
Election merchandise has been quite a big thing in 2022. Sydney clothing label Lonely Kids Club has its own range. You can pick up a DJ elbow tee. Grace Tame's Stink Eye has been immortalised. There's a lot of federal ICAC merch. And my personal favourite, the Skomokio t-shirt.
Prove yourself brave, truthful, and unselfish, and someday you will be a real boy.
It's not my job to do that.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.